well, we don't eat. We've stopped buying meat. Full stop. Thanks, Chris. Thank you. We're ready to roll. Yeah. I know, that's right. So I just do a quick welcome to Dawn podcast. All right, there. Okay. Hi, guys. Welcome to another series by Dawn podcast. And today we're joined by the wonderful, gregarious, healthy Jenny Dinh, who's a lifestyle blogger. So she's got an amazing story to share. And I just thought, I invited her on board to talk to us about her journey to be who she is today. So welcome, Dawn. I was going to say, my God, welcome, Jenny.
Thank you very much for having me, Di.
Yes, thank you. Look, we followed you on Instagram. You're described as a lifestyle blogger. Can you tell me a bit what that means?
It kind of evolved. So I never set out to be a lifestyle blogger, but I guess through what I do, through full-time mum, working and juggling all those things, it became about that lifestyle. And then the consistent question was constantly, how do you do it? How do you fit it all in?
That's right.
Yeah, and I constantly share that with in private messages. A lot of people just asking those questions, and then I thought, well, rather than sharing it privately, I started doing it publicly. And it's amazing because you think you go through this alone.
Yeah.
But a lot of women actually go through very similar things, and like a lot of women think that they have to do it all by themselves.
And when your journey to get into this role as a lifestyle blogger, how did it start? How did it begin? You said it kind of evolved. It evolved from where?
Okay, so I was always, so prior to falling pregnant, I was always thin, like a size 6, but smoked heavily, Red Bull every day, McDonald's was a staple. And then I fell pregnant and I thought, how hard could it be? And like most girls, I used it as an excuse to eat.
Yeah.
And I ate and ate. So I put on 30 kilos in my pregnancy.
30 kilos.
So I went from a size 6 to a size 16. Anyway, so I had my son and then I tried to lose the weight and like 3 months had gone by. I actually put on weight, let alone lose weight. And I thought, oh no. So then I engaged a PT, a nutritionist, and they
PT is?
Personal trainer.
Yep.
Yeah. And I worked out that I learned that it was more than just eating well and exercising. It's what you eat. It's when you eat as well. Skipping meals, worst idea ever. So all those little things that we thought we knew about diet and weight loss, all the myths I had done. So
tell us about it. So how? When did this happen? When did you have your child?
So I was 30 when I gave birth. So I guess a little bit late in the scheme of things, but it was the right time for us. I was 30 and our business had been running for about 4 years, Fat Panda, which you know about. So for 4 years, and then I was always working full time as well. So I had my son and, he went to daycare really early, did all of that. And then, so then I got into the fitness purely just for weight loss. And the idea was to lose the weight and never go back. And go back to my smoking ways and whatnot. But it just, my love for it just grew and the obsession grew. And before you know it, I was like Googling things in my spare time and how to improve this and what else to eat. And I was surviving on 4 to 5 hours sleep a night.
Wow.
But I credit it, honestly, because I fueled my body well. And I ate really well and I ate really clean. And, it's like if they say if you put good petrol in your car, the car will run well. And that's what I was trying to get people to understand, that there is no magic to what I do. Yes, I'm driven and I have goals and I want to achieve them. But if even if you had 10 hours sleep, if you're not fueling your body right, you can't keep going. Mm-hmm. So the exercise led to the clearer mindset, the great diet helped with the energy levels. So it just kind of just grew and grew and grew. And at first I was trying to prove that, you can lose that amount of weight. You see them on Instagram all the time, those before and afters, and you think, oh, they've had all that surgery. I mean, some have, because it's been like such a drastic change, but you can. If you really want to do something, you can.
And how long did it take you
It took me 3 months.
to lose
24 kilos.
3 months to lose 24 kilos?
It came.
Tell us. I'm sure people who's going to be listening to this and wanting to lose weight
Yeah.
would want to know how you can lose 24 kilos in 3 months.
So it basically came at every cost. It came at the cost of my marriage, the cost of interacting with people, everything. I said no to all the social outings because you bond over food. So if someone says, oh, let's catch up for coffee or let's go have lunch, right? So, and I would decline it because I knew that if I went, or even if I did go, I'd say, no, I'm not going to eat. Or I would go to a family dinner with the chicken and the boiled chicken and the vegetables. But yeah, it was pretty much that. Like the plan that I was given was eat every 3 hours.
Right.
So I wanted to achieve this as fast as I could.
Right.
I didn't want to slow it down or put any roadblocks or anything. So woke up, 2 boiled eggs, spinach. It's become my diet now, actually. It's such a staple for me. So
Right.
if I got nothing else, and I'm not a fussy eater. So 2 boiled eggs, spinach in the morning, breakfast. 3 hours later, a handful of almonds.
Right.
3 hours later, boiled chicken, avocado, and like a salad.
Yep.
3 hours later, 1 celery stick with a tablespoon of natural peanut butter. 3 hours later, dinner, which is usually like sashimi and another salad. And that was the same thing I ate for 3 months.
For 3 months?
For 3 months.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and I always say to people, like, if you buy a DVD player and they give you installation instructions, you have to follow that manual.
Yeah.
You can't just do step 1, 2, and 5 and hope that it will install.
Yeah.
It won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to trust the process. So, the professional gave me this to follow and I followed it. And it worked. It really worked. But as I said, my husband would say, do you want to go for breakfast? And I'd be like, oh, I'll come, but I'll just have, and he'd be like, well, what's the point then? Yeah. So, it's one of those things where, like with anything in life, if you want to achieve something, it always comes at a cost. And it's never easy.
So how did you manage that relationship with hubby then?
I have to be grateful for how loyal he is, I guess, and he stood by me. And
It's really 3 months.
it wasn't just that, like it was the gymming too. So once I lost the weight, I was training every day. If I had a spare hour, I would go and train again.
Wow.
So regardless of if I was gone in the morning. And then the other thing also is that you're tired, right? So when you get home, you want to just sleep.
Yeah. You don't want to talk, you don't want to engage.
You don't want to do anything. Yeah. So that's what I mean by, it does come at a cost where your relationship suffers from it. And, going to the movies, you get popcorn, you get chips, and they're sort of moments that you share together. But, I didn't have that. Yeah. So I was quite lucky though. Like he could see my goals and he put up with it. Yeah.
And did it stop? Or so once you've lost that weight, obviously you then went onto a normal lifestyle?
No. So that was my lifestyle. When they actually say, like, you have to make it your lifestyle. And I do. Fitness is my lifestyle. Eating well is my lifestyle. Like, we just buy natural peanut butter. And my son doesn't know any different. He's never tasted Kraft.
Right.
That's our lifestyle. We don't buy soft drinks. We don't even really drink juice, like bottled juice, because that's just, like, I just don't buy that stuff into the house. And he doesn't know any different. Even getting up and training, it's so normal to him. Like, in the morning, he'll be like, have you gone to the gym yet? I have. Okay, well, then can we do this then? But if I haven't, then he knows he has to wait the hour till I get home.
So you go to the gym every morning?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
Unless I'm feeling really down. But generally speaking, yeah, every day. Is that brushing my teeth?
Yeah. And is that part of becoming a lifestyle blogger? I mean, is that what kind of, once you kind of, it sounds like almost obsessive, like the things that you do?
I
like
think
being
it's
so regimented?
I guess you could see it in that sense. The other sense that I like to see it is you have to be your brand. I can't preach it if I'm not that person. You know, I can't tell you to eat healthy and train if I just sit back and not do that. But it comes so naturally to me that my husband, my family, it is us now. So when you say, like, did we revert back? Well, no, this is how it's kind of gone.
Yep.
You know, this is us now. Yeah, and it's very normal. When we go on holidays, every hotel I book, I make sure there's a gym there.
And what about food? I
Um,
mean, the type of food that you go out to or to at hotels or you're traveling, are you still sticking to that ritual of every 3 hours sticking to that?
Not anymore, because now I'm just at a maintaining sort of phase, but not at a like losing that weight. But as much as I can, so I'm not that strict now, because I'm very close to where I want to be. You know, we go up and down here and there, but always clean choices where I can. So like we went through Singapore last year and we found every whole food cafe we could find. You know, because I enjoy that. I love that. And I was like, oh, look at that cold pressed juice place. And I was like, all right, let's go. You know, but he knows it's good. Like, it could be worse, right?
Yeah. And does your family, does he stick to your diet as well? Or do you find that you have to do 2 separate meals at home?
So it's my meal with a variation.
Right.
Yeah. So so if I have steak and veggies, they'll have steak and veggies, and they might have chips as well.
Right.
And they might have baked potatoes and, you know, something like that. So it's not that different. But don't get me wrong, I'll have chips too here and there. And I have those moments as well, because we're only human, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Your I suppose, if I can call it, profession, it's not a very typical profession for an Asian woman, is it?
No, I still don't know how to explain to my mum
Yeah, what do you do?
that I'm an influencer,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and cause she'll be like, how do you make money from this? And it's not a 9 to 5. It's not something that pays you by the hour. So, but my parents have certainly opened themselves up to all types of things. You know, so growing up, they were never like, you have to be a doctor or you have to be an accountant. So they're okay. But yeah, my family is pretty cool. They all get it. Like anyone that does understand social media, like they're all for it. And if we go out and I'm like, take a photo for me, and they're all on it. Yeah, they're all on it. One pulls out a light and one pulls out their phone, and yeah.
I mean, I've had a chat to your brother, who's done an amazing, had a great achievement in his menswear fashion. He shared a little bit about growing up. Your parents are refugees from Cambodia. I'd like to hear your perspective about growing up, and your mum and dad were in the rag trade, sewing constantly, and you guys were part of that life. Can you recall those moments growing up?
Oh, many, many, many of those moments. One of my earliest moments was falling asleep next to my mum on the sewing machine, and then I woke up and I was like, hey mum, you forgot to go to sleep. And she laughed and she said, no, I didn't forget to sleep, I just had to work through the night, because they had to get the order out. And just getting up, like we didn't have a normal childhood in any sense. Like we were always up at 5, we'd go to the factory and we'd sit and we would work until about 8:30, and what little we could do. Cutting threads, I'm sure you're very familiar, putting buttons on and stuff, and then we'd get dropped off at school when it was time, and then we'd get picked up, and then we'd work again. We'd come back and we'd do what little we could do until it was time to go home. And we didn't know any different. In homework, we just did our own. Mum and Dad never sat down with us to do homework because they didn't know how to do it either. They didn't even know how to read, let alone help us with the homework. Yeah.
Did you feel that you missed that? I mean, now that you have your own child, that because your parents work so hard, that there was, similar to obviously most parents of refugee background is, they think you're here now, you got to go to a good school, we don't have to worry about it. So there's none of that kind of overseeing how well are you doing at school, are you okay at school?
Definitely, yeah. I definitely missed out on all of that. Parent-teacher night, they never came to. Anything at school, they never came to. The only ever one thing they came to was when I got school vice captain. So mum and dad came for that one thing, and that was it. If you had to come to parent-teacher night to get your report, like they would wait it out so long that the school would just post it to us. Yeah. And it was just kind of left to us to do and achieve our own. And if we said we needed help, then typical Asian way, they would get a tutor for us. Yeah, and that was their way of helping. Yeah. But I look back and I think when I've seen and understand now what they've been through, this is their way of protecting us, you know, because they never got any of that. Yeah.
Do you think that, you know, if were there moments that you thought you wished it was different growing up? You know, you grew up here in this area. Were there things that you think was done differently?
You know, I had actually at our lunch. Remember, I record. You know, I remember being ashamed of saying that I was from Cabramatta because of the stigma that this area had. But I'm proud as now. I'm not one of those people that actually lived abroad or anything. I've lived here my whole life, and I love it. I love it. I love the people. I love the culture. You know, the good and the bad. It kind of makes us who we are. Yeah, I wouldn't change it. I love this area. Yeah.
What were some of the things that made you kind of say that, oh, I'm not from Cabramatta? What were some of those moments that happened? Do you recall?
Certainly all the drugs and whatnot. And Mum and Dad were really strict. So, you know, I never got to see or go out or anything like that. So all I saw was bad stuff because that's kind of, I guess, what they were showing me. And just being Asian, you know, and it had that perception of being socially of a lower class, and you always wanted to be Western, I guess, living, but not anymore. Definitely not anymore.
What drives you today, do you think, in the work that you're doing, say through lifestyle blogging? What is it that motivates you?
The main driver now is constantly, like, I get messages from other women that say, oh, thank you for that, you know, or just that little bit. And I found the more raw I went, the more I went personal, the more I shared about my marriage difficulties, you know, things that I'm like, my vulnerability, it helped other people. It helped other women, just even to that one mum to just say, you know what, I finally decided that I was just going to go and do something for myself. You know, like, that's so powerful. Like, it's so strong. That drives me. You know, the other parts are just benefits now, you know, and they're great, don't get me wrong. But when you know that you actually can help somebody, like that means a lot to you. Money can't buy that.
No.
Yeah.
To the people that follow you, the women, mainly women?
Mainly women, yeah. Mainly women.
What are some of the issues you think that they have faced, and that why they reach out to you?
Okay, so one of the things that I found was a major issue was, you know, the working mum that was expected to do it all. So you work full time, you come home, you're still expected to run a whole house and be a wife, you know, be a mother, all the whilst not trying to lose yourself in the process. And at the end of the day, the reality is you can't do it all.
Yeah.
You're not expected to do it all. Why should you do it all? And one of the things that I try and teach is, coming from a business background, I run my household like I run my business. So, like, I have a cleaner. She comes twice a week, right? And she does everything. Because I see no return on investment in me doing the toilets.
Yep.
No one's going to give me a promotion because I did 5 loads of laundry today.
Yep.
But if I could pay someone to do that, I would rather spend that time with my son, with my husband, even if we just sat on the couch and connected. You know, went to the park or cooked or did anything, or even negotiated another business deal, helped another person. You know, that for me is return on investment. A happier house, a happier husband, you know, a happier son, a happier me, a fitter me, a healthier looking me. You know, that is return on investment. That is where your money is worth being spent. But when you're at home all day and you're trying to make all those things happen, last thing you want to do is get intimate with your husband, is go out because you don't feel great, you don't look great. no one's happy, no one wins. And when I teach that, a lot of women come up to me and like, oh, you know, I love that you actually touched on that, because they talk about how they feel judged when they say they have a cleaner.
Yep.
Like you're incapable
Of doing it. Yeah.
But there's no prize. No one actually. Greg, you do 5 loads of laundry. You know. Yeah.
I think, as you said, you touch upon is about. I think women nowadays are feeling like, especially if your career, you know, you've got a career, you've got a profession, and you're expected to come home and cook and clean at the same time. Like, it is challenging, isn't it?
But it's the same. Like I actually put the same theory and the same methods to my husband. Right. I don't nag him about mowing the lawns or doing anything like that, because his time is better spent elsewhere. His genius is in other things.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, just as I don't like to be nagged, I don't nag him either. And we come home and we're happy.
But it's, how did you get to that stage? People are going to say, really?
It took me a while to work it out, yeah. And it wasn't until my mum actually kept pushing me, because she was like, oh, you need to get someone to help you. And at first you just think, oh, you know, I'm not rich enough. And, you know, I don't have these people now because I'm rich. I forego other things so I can have these people to come and help me, because I see the benefit in it. You know, I would rather forego a fancy dinner once a week, or a designer handbag, or, you know, just to have more efficiency in my household. You know, and everyone's happy. That's worth a hell of a lot more than, you know, that money that you're going to pay
for the brands. But, you know,
for the brands,
I mean, I suppose there are those. I think you have the separation of those people who've got that can afford to do that, and those who can't afford to do that.
It's certainly, so I do prefix it with, you have to have a disposable income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck. I know what it's like. It cannot work, obviously, if you don't have a disposable income. But with people that have some disposable income, as I said, if you forgoed that one fancy dinner a week, you could afford that. That's easy, you know.
And so you and your husband have been running your business, Fat Panda, for a while now?
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
We hit 10 years last month.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Happy 10th anniversary.
I know. Thank you very much.
What was that like? I mean, I know that small business is a struggle, isn't it? It's setting up, and kind of, I feel like you constantly have to hustle. You constantly have to, you know, and when do you find that you've reached that point that it's okay, you know, to even pay yourself?
Yeah, well, that's funny, because, it is. It's a constant hustle. And now that I've just started my own business, I actually understand the stress that my husband goes through. Because I'm just the support in this instance with Fat Panda, whilst I do run a lot of it. The organizational, the strategic planning is all him.
Right.
So I kind of get it now. And like, your mind just never stops, because you're constantly thinking about, okay, well, if I don't get this much money in, how am I going to pay the bills? And, you know, like, our staff only just learnt now, because we've just shared it with them, that we remortgaged our house twice.
Wow.
Just to get through the tough times, you know, because we felt an obligation to keep them employed.
Wow.
It was easy to just say, let's shut the doors. But then our obligation wasn't just with them. It was with their partners and their families and their mortgages and their kids.
So that's a huge...
You know, that's... And, and that's... Like, my husband shared that with me, and that's kind of like where I understand his stress, because most people who don't care would have just gone, well, it's not my problem. You go and find another job.
That's right.
Yeah, but my husband was like, no, we have an obligation to these guys. They've stuck through us. They've stuck with us. We need to stick by them. You know, we go through the good and the bad together. You know, you have your some employees that come and go, but the ones that... We have about 4 or 5 that, you know, have stuck with us and run our business like it's their own, you know, and that's the obligation that we have to them. It's tough, you know, because, you know, we went from all the fancy cars when money was really good to like basic cars, which is fine too, because we're not money driven in that sense. We're not materialistic in that sense. But, you know, it is certainly such a clear way of seeing where you were and where you're at now, you know,
Yeah.
even just where you shop. Like, you know, we used to shop at Coles and we not even blink,
Yeah.
just put whatever. Now we're
Yeah.
at Aldi and we like look at every single item.
Mm.
Do we really need this?
Wow.
You know, or we'll come back next week. Whereas last week we would have bought 3 and thought, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll buy 1 and then we'll come back next week if we need it.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it the economy that's driven, like, what have kind of made you change the way that you work and live now?
So a couple of fears in our business was that whilst we can keep putting the prices up, we were scared we were going to drive away the customers. And whilst we do have a loyal following, you know, everyone's doing it tough. So we had to keep our prices down as much as we could. So after 9 years, we just put our prices up on our sushi.
Right.
So, which, like, I was like hassling my husband for so long, babe, we need to change like 50 cents even. He was like,
Yeah.
no, we can't. Like, people come for cheap sushi or affordable sushi.
Yep.
So that was that. You know, the other thing was, you know, Canley Heights, we used to just be the only one
Yeah.
in that top section.
That's right. Yeah.
But now they're all restaurants.
Yep.
And they don't have to be other Japanese restaurants to be competition.
Yep.
They're just eateries. They're other eateries. So
Yep.
you might have come to Fat Panda 3 times a week, but now you're only coming twice a week because there's more options on the street. So that's changed as well. You know, a lot more options. People are getting obviously a bit more tighter with their money, being a bit more smarter, saving. So we certainly see the peaks and troughs. It's hard because like people see you when you're busy and they're like, oh, you should buy the shop next door.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you should have come yesterday. I could have done my ironing in here and no one would have known. Yeah. So your good days just balance your bad days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you talk about taking that second mortgage, you know, twice already to run the business. Do you think there, for people, you know, who will not probably be able to do that, and what mindset do you think people should have if they're struggling in terms of to keep their business afloat, a small business?
Look, I don't think there is a wrong or right answer to that, and everybody is different. Because for us, it came at the cost for our family, just so that we could make sure your families were doing okay. So what mindset? I can't say that there's one that anyone should have, because there's no wrong or right answer. Whatever, if they decided that we can't do this anymore, we're going to shut the doors, that's not wrong either. Because then I think, well, my son missed out on so much because of the obligation we decided to hold up. Was that the right decision? I don't know. Was it the wrong decision? I don't know. So, you know, so we missed out on a lot by doing that. But look, at the end of the day, I guess is as long as you're doing the right thing and your reasons are right. Yeah.
So it didn't deter you with what's happening with your small business of Fat Panda to then open your own business, like with the struggles or with the challenges that you had. It didn't deter you from then starting your own?
No, definitely not. And I think that's where Jason comes into play, my mum and dad come into play, because they've always been go-getters, you know. And I always say, what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is I close it and I go and get a full-time job, which is actually not the worst case scenario. But I could get to 60 and go, I wish I'd done something with myself. You know, and if I want my son to grow up with the same audacity, with the same bravery, with the same courage, with the same hunger for life, I have to show him the same thing and say anything's possible. You know, you just have to try. And if it doesn't work, you know, it doesn't work. But, you know, we have to lead by example.
So you're going to give it a go. Tell us about the CoLab space. What made you set this up?
So my CoLab space was born out of my love for Instagram collaborations. So hence the name. So obviously in the growth of my profile, we were doing a lot of collaborations with other small businesses, startups and stuff. And together we all, would create content that we could use. We would get more reach, we would get more exposure, and hopefully more business. So that's where that idea was born. So with the warehouse, my parents owned that warehouse. It was vacant for a while, so I came to them with the idea, and they said, "Go for it. If you want it, no one's leasing it now." Oh, actually, there was a guy looking at it, but if he doesn't sign it, then you can have it. So we waited for about 2 weeks. The guy didn't sign it, so they said, "Go for it." So so we thought we'll just go for it. So we're about to create like some packages where we're going to help small business create content. It's not enough to just post a photo of your shoes anymore and say, "Buy my shoes." You gotta sell the look, the lifestyle, the message. You gotta sell everything behind it. And when we can create original content that helps a lot of businesses, and it, rather than paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for a photographer, a videographer, if we could help you do that all in one day, and share the cost, then everyone benefits. We can all make some money and not have to outlay too much. So that's where that idea was born from. Just getting different people together and just creating content.
Do you target like mainly people in Southwest Sydney or how are you?
Well, at the moment, definitely, Southwest Sydney. I have a love, as you know, for Southwest Sydney. So I want to help our people out here, and there's so much talent out here too. Absolutely. And that's what I love. That you don't have to be in the city anymore to be good at anything. And there's so much, like you got your Tina Yongs, who's made it massive, and she was a 2166 girl, big beauty blogger.
Right.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of others that I can't remember right now, but it just proves that anyone can make it, as long as you just keep going and you keep chipping away at it. The West has nothing like this as well. So that's why we are targeting the western suburbs, trying to get these people out of their garages and out of their bedrooms and into a more professional looking place.
Yeah.
And if you surround yourself with other like-minded people, can you imagine the ideas that will be born from there, rather than you yourself trying to come up with one idea?
Yep. So it's bringing people together.
Yeah.
Just going to Instagram content. I just post sometimes. Often picture here and there of something. Like there's no planning, but I know that there's this growth in terms of Instagram content.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder often that, with all the social media platform that have really sprouted up over the last decade, are people really still connected? One, face to face rather than just through our apps.
Yeah.
Second, I wonder how much of an impact that has on a person who might be looking at Instagram or looking at Facebook and feel like they're so that person has so much, and I don't have.
Yes.
Or that person looks so great, and it's kind of. I so funny this morning. I said to my son, because he's on the phone constantly. I said, darling, just be careful, when you use so much of social media, because it can have an impact on you mentally.
Yes.
Right? No matter how healthy you are, sometimes it can have an impact. What's your thoughts around that?
Yes, completely. I totally agree with you. We look at these Instagram models, or we look at these people with perfect homes. We look at these girls that carry the designer handbags every day.
I mean, you look perfect on Instagram.
Well, that's.
I think, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
But I also share my fat days. I also share photos of myself not touched up, and no makeup on, and all those sorts of things, to prove that I am a real person, and there is, I don't know if you've seen, but I quite often, every now and again, I will post up like an Instagram versus reality, where I take one photo of me flexed and posing and great lighting, and then 10 seconds later just a natural photo, and they're two completely different photos, but they're just 10 seconds apart,
right?
To say, don't look at people and what they post, because it's just one moment in their day.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and you know yourself, you get up and you feel,
Yeah.
I feel really thin today. And then by lunchtime, you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you know, that's normal for all of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's certainly something that I think I can do quite well.
Yeah.
And that's where I find that people relate, because that's when it blows up. And they're like, oh, thank you for sharing that. Because, you know, I felt bad about eating this today, and I thought I had to eat this, and I thought I had to look like this. And it's like, no, just understand that people don't post bad photos of themselves.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
logically,
right.
it doesn't make sense, right? Why
Yeah.
would you?
Yeah.
You want to post your best photo.
Yep.
So if you can understand that that handbag is probably not hers, right? It's probably rented, right? And that house was that photo was probably taken just as the cleaner left,
Yeah.
right? That we all live very similar lives.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's the important. To me, it's so funny because there was a message on Facebook last night from somebody that I kind of knew but didn't know well, and then he privately messaged me and over the last, I think, probably 2 months, and I think that there were some mental health issues.
Oh.
So, but initially I engaged with him because I thought, oh, he was okay.
That's right.
And then when he privately messaged me on another message, I thought, oh my God, it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And that last night really kind of
Shook you.
yeah, shook me a little bit in terms of how much I trust people who reach out to me on these platforms. I mean, I'm sure, you know, people reaching out to you that you haven't met.
I get what you're saying too, because being in the public eye, you feel
Yeah.
like you have a responsibility,
Yeah.
you know, to help people.
Yeah.
And because we genuinely want to.
Yeah.
But I think there has to come to a point where you have to filter these people too,
Yeah.
because if it's getting to a point where it's affecting you,
Yeah.
then sometimes you have to say, look, I'd love to help you, but I think you need to get professional help.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
or I can't help you on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because being who we are, we want to help where we can,
That's
and then
right.
we take on their problems.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is. You feel like completely, you think, oh my God, what can I do? And so
Yeah.
it's kind of, and I thought to myself, seeing you today, I thought, be interesting from your perspective, you know, because you're on, you know, especially I think Instagram more than say Facebook too, but more Instagram is
Yeah.
about this great look. You have to have your page so wonderfully kind of manicured
Yeah.
that, you know, yes, we tend to look more for beautiful photos, but it is a bit, you know, is that kind of, how do you deal with that moment when somebody who kind of said, you know, this is all not real, this is all fake, you guys are all, you know, living a life that I can't live, and you think, oh God, you know, what do we do?
Well, the first thing that we have to understand is that we can't please everybody. And no matter what you do, people will always judge you.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, you're too fat today, or you're too thin today, or you dress too provocatively today, or you look so lazy today, or I would have dressed up a bit more, or you know, they'll find anything. They'll find anything to pin on you. And it gets to the point in your life, in your maturity, that you just go, you know what, I really don't care. I don't care if you think I've got too much cleavage, or I don't care if you think I look daggy today. Yeah, I really do not care. You know, if you have an issue with how I spoke to you because I was rude or something like that, then yeah, bring it up. Because I would be mortified to think that I was not well mannered or something. But those trivial things, you just got to let it go. And even for you, you'd probably get heaps of them too, you know, judging you on everything.
yeah. I call them the trolls.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at them.
Someone said to me once, and it's a compliment.
Yeah.
You haven't made it unless you have haters.
Yeah, that's true.
So congratulations.
So have you got haters too?
I've only got a few. I don't have many yet, so I haven't made it yet.
You don't know. You don't know that.
Yeah.
What's your dream? What do you know? What do you have dreams?
I have. Okay, well, I'm just going to share it, I guess. Yeah. I have a dream. I have a dream of creating a big lifestyle brand. So my background, same as Jason, is in clothing and stuff, like a fitness wear line, a line of like fitness bands and just things that mums and women can use every day. Not we're not talking about the elite PTs, just things that can help us live healthier and things that can make us look more beautiful and things that will make us feel beautiful, connecting in beautiful ways, whether that be over food or women's networking groups, in any way. I have this vision of just creating like a hub, or a center or a brand of some sort where we can, capture all of that in one way or another. So I created a trust fund called the Positive Lifestyle Group.
Oh, right.
So I want to live that out in some way,
And what's the aim of the Positive Lifestyle Group?
Just to live the way you want to live. If you want to work 40 hours a week, work 40. If you want to work 2, work 2. If you want to work 100, work 100. But be happy with your choices, because no one else can make those choices for you. No one should be able to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. Be happy with whatever it is that you decide to do. That's, success is choice.
Yeah.
That's when I've made it. Not because of how many zeros I have in my account, because I choose to eat here, or I choose to see this movie, I choose to order this on the menu. Like, that is success, not being so, I can't pick that, or we can't do that, or we can't, that, I guess what we just want for our children, we want for us too. But we don't live it with us. We encourage our children, but we don't actually do it ourselves. Well, not many do anyway.
Are there, we've been listening to you sharing a lot of, I think, positive stuff.
Yeah.
Like people might say, I can't, I've got so many issues, I've got things, you're too perfect. Are there moments of struggles, do you think, that that you think in that journey to set up, in the journey with the business with your husband, or in that journey to lose the weight, were there moments that you doubted yourself?
I don't know if you call them moments of doubt, but I certainly always have this will to keep going and to never give up. I guess I always just think my parents never gave up. They never did. Even when they lost all their family, they're still here today. Like my mum, she lost her dad, her mum, her sister. So she was an orphan. So she went through the Pol Pot regime all by herself.
Wow.
And my dad had 9 brothers and sisters, and he hand dug each of their graves and buried them himself, including his own mother, Wow. And they were still able to come to this country with nothing. And you know that photo, right? Literally that photo at the airport. Mum didn't even have a handbag.
Well, we had one bag. We were coming here, one bag.
And I think like what they've achieved today, they're self-funded retirees. We've never once collected Centrelink in our 35 years of being in this country. And I think like they can do it. Why can't I? Like if I can't achieve more than them, then I haven't actually succeeded in life, because they've set the bar here. This is what we've achieved with no education, no language, no money, and this is what we've been able to achieve. But we've been given all these resources. We should be able to achieve more. Definitely struggles every day. Every day, my husband and I have come to such a great place in our marriage, where the compromise is always there. We certainly pick and choose our battles, and divorce is not always on the cards like it used to be. So we still have divorce papers signed, which I sent to the birth, deaths and marriages with the check paid. And I had to ring them that day and say, send it back. And they laughed. But I thought, you know what, they probably get heaps of this, eh? But, that's where our marriage got to. We realized that we were going to lose everything. That's the worst case scenario. We were going to lose everything if we didn't work together. So we have this great understanding now of our strengths and weaknesses. So my husband Viet is a great strategic planner. He's got great vision. I'm more of a doer, so I like manuals and processes, and I like to implement things. So it works, right? So I might have an idea, and I'll bring it to him, and he'd be like, no, that won't work. We should do it like this. Yeah. And then once he's explained it to me, then we're like, okay, this is how we should execute it. And that works.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for us, that works. It works really well. Yeah. And I have no problems in saying that too. That's just not my strength. Yeah. I have no greater vision. I've got an idea, and it's like, oh, here's how to make $10, right? Whereas my husband would be like, no, here's how to make $100. Yeah.
Well, that's a good combination then.
Yeah, but it took us a long road to learn that. Even though we've been together for so long, we had to learn that through working together. Because when you have a relationship together and you live together, you just share the great times.
Yeah.
Right? You don't actually share any bad times, but because we work together every day, we know now what we're good at and what we're not good at. Yeah.
So how are you going to implement your positive lifestyle group or execute that to make it reality?
Yeah, I have some things happening at the moment. So we're in talks with some like a catering business, and also even with hubby's food background, chefing. So like a healthy foods and stuff. So maybe like a meal prep idea. So that's kind of in the pipeline. CoLab space, we're thinking of turning it into a health hub, like say once a month, maybe get like a yoga person in, get someone to do some cold juices, get some healthy meals brought in. That milk crate vibe where you can come in, get something to eat, ride your bike in, just create somewhere where people can come together, even if it's once a month, and just share in that healthy lifestyle. So they're kind of the immediate plans. Yeah. But
And long-term plan? What?
I don't know. Maybe Bonds might ring me and say, let's do a collaboration. So yeah, that is the dream. That is the dream. So I engaged in a publicist not long ago because my business mentor said to me I should. And she said, what's your dream brand to work for? And I said, maybe Bonds. Yeah. I like them because they're everyday people, down to earth. The brand is not like it's not snooty. It's, we all love Bonds. Yeah. And that's kind of where we want to be. We want to be a brand where everyone loves, everyone can relate to. You don't have to be filthy rich to be able to afford it. I have no joy in trying to be like the Louis Vuitton of something. Whilst it's nice, but but it's just not real. That's not real. It's not real life. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, let's see if you're going to be the Bonds girl.
Well, I had it. Bonds reposted one of my photos
okay.
earlier this year.
Yeah.
So they reposted it, and at the time, it was their best performing post.
Right.
So all the other posts were getting like 600-700 likes. This post got over 4,000 likes. Right. Yeah.
Have you reached out to them?
Not yet.
Well, why don't you
I'll get my publicist to. No, yet. I think it might be a bit premature. Yeah. But it's nice to be on their radar.
Yeah. What I don't would like to ask the question of mistakes, but what are the lessons for you in your what that you've learned from setting up Fat Panda, the business?
Yep.
What are the lessons for you in a relationship, with somebody that's from your perspective is opposite to you, So what are the lessons that you think?
The lessons in Fat Panda. It's funny because we can plan a party and know exactly what we're going to do, right? But we went into Fat Panda so blindly. We thought, just because our parents are both in business that we could run it. But we had no marketing plan. We had no strategic plan. We had nothing. We had no financial goals. We just worked, I guess you could call it the dumb way. We worked, we paid bills, we kept the money, put the money back in, we worked, we paid bills. There was no reinvesting, there was no marketing plan. How are we going to grow it? Okay, the business has gone down. How do we, further... So those were our lessons. Lessons that I've taken with me onto CoLab as well. So as I said, I've got a business mentor now. We engage a driving instructor to teach us how to drive. We get a PT to teach us how to do things at the gym. Why don't we get someone to teach us how to do business? Why do we go into it so blindly? Why don't we invest in that? People that have been there, that have done that, they've made those mistakes, or they teach other people how to do it. So we've learned a lot in that aspect. So taking on this new business, we do it with the goal of not being so time poor. Whereas before, that's all we knew. As long as we put time into it, we were going to make money.
Is that a traditional way of running business? I think
Sure,
for
especially
a lot of ethnics or refugee or migrant families.
That's all we learnt, and that's all we saw from our parents. They worked like dogs.
Yeah.
They made money, but were they really making money? Because they lost so much time.
Yeah.
You know, and they were just replacing it with materialistic things. Yeah, you drove a nice car, and yeah, we went to a good school, but we had no connections. We weren't a family. We were always at babysitters' houses or sleeping in boxes or working. I guess just a different mindset into going into CoLab now, and we're not running it like an old school way. Working with your partner, was that the other question?
Yeah. Lessons from
I always
making
thought
a relationship work.
I always thought working with your partner would be the dream, because you love that person, right?
Yeah.
So what better way to spend every day with them? Because I saw my mum and dad do it, and my in-laws same. My mother and father-in-law, they're the same. They work together as well.
Yeah.
So before working with my husband, I always said divorce. Once I get married, divorce is never an option. Like you work through it no matter what. But when you work with your husband, divorce is an option every day. Every day. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And you see a lot of marriages break down through small business.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess the lesson is don't do it unless you're willing to really put in the hard work and really understand that there are going to be times when you are the punching bag. You know, you just have to cop it. But you also got to stick up for yourself too.
Yeah.
So there's that really
balance. Find that balancing
balance.
act, isn't it? How to find that balance.
It's
in
not
life.
for everyone though.
Yeah. No, I know it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go down there with
And we do, like, if other people ask us for our advice, we do advise against it. But, you know, nothing builds success like a resilient person. So if that's what you want, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the most hungry ones that will make it work. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, did you enjoy that episode of Dawncast? Well, I hope you did. At Dawn, the difference is you. So hit the subscribe button below and leave a comment and tell us what you would like to hear more of in the future.